It's not operating until tomorrow at noon. As well, most local rec programs, sports fields, and the like are going to be shuttered for the rest of the weekend. Well, the Premier of Nova Scotia says it's important for Nova Scotians to listen to the warnings and stay inside as this storm approaches. Stephen McNeil telling News 95.7 he's been impressed with what he's seen from emergency services today and in advance of this storm.
Our teams have been working at this now really for the better part of the last week for the preparation. Can't say enough good about the work the DMO is doing, DHS, all of our teams, Nova Scotia Power has teams all across our province now waiting for the winds to die down and start looking at how do we best put the power back up.
Now, as for help from the federal government, McNeil says he's been told that once this storm subsides, he's been assured by the federal Minister of Public Safety that the military is mobilizing to help to get infrastructure back up and running. Well, checking the News 95.7 forecast for today, we are still under a hurricane warning. Conditions expected to continue deteriorating as we await for the storm to make landfall this evening. Wind gusts of 140 kilometers per hour possible. Again, the storm certainly does not appear to be over for us in Halifax yet. Some areas expecting to see as much as 200 millimeters of rain by tomorrow morning when the storm eventually leave us. I'm Mark Hodgins. For more news, you can follow us on Twitter or head to halifaxtoday.ca.
This is the Jody Matt Show. Your top dollar for your trade today.
I don't want to hear that. That's not good. We've been on the air since, I've been here since 1. We were on the air since early this morning talking about the storm system that is now Dorian post-tropical storm. Let's go to Denise from 680 News in Toronto. Hi, Denise.
Hey, how are you guys holding up there?
We're surviving it. Denise,
Good.
How do I say your name without saying it incorrectly?
Andrietti, but you know what? No worries. I think the important name is Dorian here, and as it started to approach the Maritimes, it did actually upgrade to a hurricane category 2 status, but as you mentioned, it's now post-tropical. But yeah, we're still under these hurricane warnings across Nova Scotia, and we're seeing tons of tree damage already, hundreds of thousands without power, and we have yet to really see direct landfall. So when we do, we'll likely see things die down a little bit. And through the Halifax area and other parts of Nova Scotia, once we start to see the eye kind of make landfall, and then things are going to get intense again. And this is why the warnings and heeding to these warnings and special weather statements that have been issued by Environment Canada are so important, because with storms like this, you do sometimes think that you're out of the woods, and then you'll start to see another swath of heavy rain, and then of course as the system pulls out, you'll continue to be dealing with very, very strong winds as well.
You know, it's been quite a few hours since the rain has started and the wind has picked up, and we're at this point now, as you describe and as we know, the center of the eye is sort of losing its intensity. We're hearing it's somewhat being downgraded, but there's still possibility of hurricane force winds, which means we're not out of this storm yet.
No, you're not, and you've already got all these power lines and downed trees all across the region. I mean, you're seeing it play out on social media, and I hope everyone's being safe. We love when they share their photos and videos, but it's a dangerous situation, and it's very fluid as well. How many people might be without power? You know, we could be talking about 1 million of Maritimers by the time everything is said and done, which we've seen before with these strong storms and tropical storms and hurricanes that have hit, although Dorian has really been one of the strongest to sort of approach the Atlantic Canada region since Juan, which we know was such a devastating storm. And there's just so much history with Dorian already. It's caused catastrophic damage. It parked itself over the Bahamas for a day and a half, essentially, and seeing a storm get stationary like that and kind of hold itself stationary is perplexing sometimes. It's a storm that has changed trajectories many times. It's been upgraded, it's been downgraded, and so when it started to make its way towards the Maritimes, and it got stronger in its intensity, I think this was really worrisome. But of course, as it reaches these colder waters, this is when we start to see things lessen in intensity, but still intense and still very, very dangerous.
Absolutely. Well, Denise, we're hoping for the best here, and we've got a few more hours of weather, and we really do appreciate having your update. I see Bianca Andreescu has won the U.S. Women's Open.
Nice.
Unbelievable. There is a little good news on this Saturday for
That's
sure.
it. Absolutely. Thank you so
We'll
much.
keep you updated. Yeah, check in with me.
You.
Okay.
Bianca Andreescu, and we have Meg Groff from Halifax today in our studio. We're going to get to you, Victor and Bob. Meg, you had a little bit of an adventure. You got the wet clothes to prove.
I do. Soaked through jeans, and my socks are also wet.
But that's from the puddle from the window.
Well, that's the thing. Dan's like, "Oh, make sure you put on your shoes," and I'm like, "My socks can't get any wetter."
Yes,
and
they
then
can.
I came in here, and yeah, they're wetter.
I was doing pretty good. I was avoiding the sock soaker, until I went back to my desk, and that window leaked too. So I think there'll be a few people here in the building who will find it's a bit soggy.
A little bit.
It's, so you were out, you took a bit of a journey around the south end?
Yeah. So basically, I've been in the building since 9 o'clock this morning, so I haven't really very surprised by how much damage is out. This is going to be a very long and expensive cleanup.
Yeah, and for the most part, when the Premier says, you know, we've asked for the support and help of the military to come in, they say they've done this before. I just don't ever remember it happening in the midst of a storm.
Yeah, I don't. You think we had all those military guys in here for
Yeah,
the
exactly.
naval demonstration?
We can get 'em back.
We could have
We
had
can
them
get them back.
throwing sandbags and stuff.
So lots of images.
At least one tree down, if not several. There's debris everywhere. Actually, both northbound lanes on Murphy Street were completely blocked by a giant tree that had fallen right by the Commons. South end is the same. I went to go check out that construction crane that collapsed. You can see photos of that on halifaxtoday.ca. Then it swung down by the waterfront, and that's being destroyed right now.
I was hearing, hearing voices that have been on the air all day. It's myself. But I saw a few images from down towards Stainers, down towards that area. That's all the waterfront looks to be.
Yeah, I went down. I was more in the Bishop's Landing area,
Right, okay.
and the boards there are all pulled up, and the waves are just pounding there and pushing them up. Every time it hits, it pushes up the waves a little bit more. Those bricks are starting to be destroyed, pulling away from the wood on the waterfront. It's
gonna be
I
long.
imagine that's going to be closed off for a long time.
It's
because
gonna be a
that's
long
need
one,
to be
Yeah.
repaired for sure.
We have been very grateful for having your help today, and Meg, we're
And
not
vice versa.
we're not quite out of the woods yet. But I think Matthew Moore, reporter Matthew Moore, is giving us a bit of an update from downtown. Hi, Matt. Are you there?
Hey, Sheldon, how's it going?
Pretty good. Did you get dried off yet?
I did. I went out a couple other times to Tobin Street to see the roof that blew off the apartment building down there.
Oh yeah, and
It blew the roof off.
It's still there, by the way.
oh yeah.
Sorry, it's in the south end. It's eerily calm right now. But actually, I was talking to my mom and dad up Cape Breton Way, and they're saying that right now they got about 50 millimeters of rain, and they're only supposed to get about 30 to 40. So it's been a lot more aggressive up Cape Breton Way than they were expecting. So I wonder if there's just a shift that they weren't expecting, and that kind of threw things a little bit sideways. So.
Yeah, we haven't heard any significant change in the forecast of the track of the storm system. It seems to have lost some of its intensity around what would be described as the eye wall, that according to Alistair Alders from earlier today.
How's Alistair doing?
Oh, he's doing pretty good.
That's good. It's good to hear.
We've got some weather to watch.
A lot of trees down there.
Lots of weather.
So you were up early, you're going to be back at it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what Dan told me. So it'll be good to get in tomorrow to see, well, not good to see, but see what all the damage is, because like Meg was saying, there's lots of trees down everywhere. Roby Street, when I was driving around earlier, it wasn't pretty, and I'm presuming that the waterfront here in Halifax and Dartmouth is going to be a bit of a mess. And then, of course, saw the big crane collapse. That was astounding to see, and roofs ripped off buildings. And if the winds pick up later tonight too, that's a lot more to report on once we get back tomorrow morning on News 95.7.
All right, well, we'll be tuning in, and I might still be here. Matthew Moore,
That was
thank
off
you.
the trees.
Cheers, buddy. Have a good one.
You too. Matt Moore helping us out. Meg, thank you for your help too.
No problem, thank you.
Right, we've got a few others who wanted to weigh in with their thoughts here this afternoon. Let's go to Tony. Hi, Tony.
Hi, you doing, Sheldon?
I'm getting through it. What's on your mind?
I just have a question.
Sure.
Do you know if Halifax ever got its money from Ottawa from Hurricane Dorian? Because I remember it took a long time. There was a lot of discussion, and they were, I don't know, holding back or reneging or waiting for receipts or whatever they were doing. But I don't ever recall hearing a story that they actually got the check.
That's a really good question. I just did a quick Google search. I don't see anything that jumped out at me. It seems to me, I vaguely remember, and maybe it's the same thing you're remembering, that there was a conversation about it. It takes time. It really does take time. So I don't know if they did get that. Let me just check what. There was a pledge of money according to what Wikipedia said.
Yes, there was. Yes,
Yeah,
but
it says-
I've never heard anything about it. It just came to mind because of what we're doing today. Be another cleanup that I'm sure that Ottawa is going to help us with, especially if there's an indication the military is going to come in and give us a hand.
Yeah, that'll
Maybe there's somebody out there that has an answer to that that's listening to the show.
That's a good
and can call in and give us an answer.
We'll throw it out there. The collective wisdom. We'll crowdfund that one in a way. Thanks, Tony.
All right, great.
Thanks. Stay safe.
Thanks, Sheldon.
And let's go. It's Bob. Bob's been waiting very patiently. Hi, Bob.
How you doing, my son?
We're making it out, and you're staying safe today?
Oh, my son. Oh, yes, I am. Yes, I am. And this doesn't seem to be as bad as Hurricane Dorian was. I mean,
it doesn't at this point.
No, and I had the privilege of having to work that night when Hurricane Dorian came in, and I had the privilege of working White Dorian as well.
Yeah, I was working both those too.
Oh, well, you know what it's like. And it seems to have died right off.
I'm sensing that too, and we're going to have to make a couple of phone calls to see what's going on in other parts of the province. See, we've got this very narrow view out our window, obviously, and you can go online and you can see that yes, in fact, there are power outages across the region. There is rain falling. The wind has been somewhat slack over the last little while. I guess that's one way to put it. But the eye of this system, as it's described, is due south of Halifax right now.
Right, and well, I've had no power before, and I actually cooked my supper at 3:30, which is something I've never done in my life. And I was sitting down eating my supper, and I had the last 2 or 3 spoonfuls, and the power goes out.
Well, you made it through that part. You got there. You got it.
Well, yeah, and warm chip, so.
We've got sunset at 7:43, so we're losing the last of the light, and the storm, as you say, seems a little less intense than it was. And I don't think we're quite finished. I don't think it's quite done yet, but maybe the worst of it is over.
Well, I'm thinking, yeah, this is maybe this will go down in the records. The first time I called,
Okay, Bob. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you, Sheldon. Bye-bye now.
Bob here with us. Let's see what Sharon has to say. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing all right. How you coping with this storm? How you getting through it?
Oh, we're a bit through very fine. I just thought it was kind of strange. It seems that it was quite intense there for a while, and it's calm, but it hasn't even hit yet, right?
Yeah. I think we did get at a few points the winds did reach speeds close to 100 kilometers an hour. It was pretty intense. Obviously, could have been worse, but let's just be thankful it wasn't.
Look at it now. Should we still expect it to hit?
As I just said to Bob, I've got a windy.com, and what would be described as the eye of the storm is directly south of Halifax at this moment. And the wind 50 km per hour, which isn't very strong,
So I know I should just
but
stay home.
as calmer near the middle, if you will. So as it moves past, the winds could intensify again a little bit later tonight.
Okay. That's basically what I want to know, is if it was going to hit us again or not, or the eye of the storm made a difference or not. But
Again, that sounds like the best guess right now, showing rain about 56.8 millimeters. They said it could be as high as 100, so half that, well, that's still quite damaging for, it doesn't matter if it's 50 or 100 if you've got water in your basement.
that's right. All right, everybody stay safe. Thanks.
Sharon, thank you, and thank you for weighing in. We've got to slip into a break. I know there's a few of you on hold that want to talk with us here on the show. We'll be back with more from you as we weigh in, and perhaps we'll have an opportunity to check in at other parts of the province to see what's going on with A. All right, we'll be back with you.
Have you heard about Maritime Fuels' new commitment plan?
Yes, I have. It's fantastic. You know, it's more than just furnace insurance. A no run-out guarantee, free parts and labor coverage for my oil burning equipment.
When it matters, we understand.
Count on Maritime. Excellent people, excellent SO products. Find out more at maritimefuels.ca or call 310-SO.
How Bell Alliant makes being online better.
I just got Bell Alliant Pure Fiber Internet. Now I get why they're ranked Canada's fastest internet again. It's so
Home.
amazing.
The real question is, why doesn't everyone switch?
Excellent question. I got nothing.
Switch to Bell Alliant and get Pure Fiber Internet. It's Canada's fastest internet as ranked by PC Mag. Get flat internet in a bundle with 5 GB and enjoy it starting at $40 a month for 2 years. Visit a Bell Alliant store to check availability. Bell Alliant. Being online just got better.
Do you wish you could grow a beautiful garden like your neighbors? Bloom Greenhouse and Garden Center is here to help. So visit their Gardening 101 workshop this coming Tuesday afternoon at 2. Learn the basics of gardening, how to get started, helpful hints, and all the do's and don'ts for growing healthy plants. It's your chance to learn from the experts. Register in-store or at bloomgreenhouse.com. Bloom Greenhouse and Garden Center, 1421 Hammonds Plains Road, and bloomgreenhouse.com.
Get top dollar for your trade today. Need to sell your car? Race Auto Group will buy it. Inventory is at an all-time low. If your vehicle is 2015 or newer with mileage under 100,000, they'll give you top dollar for your trade. In fact, Race Auto will pay retail for your car. It's that simple. If you need to sell now, today and enjoy the summer. Only at Race Auto, 692 Windmill Road, Dartmouth, and Treaty Trail in Truro.
Any Tire Guy here to remind you that the Big Red Weekend sale is on now with our lowest prices of the season. Triangle credit card holders, get those wish list items with in-store financing on purchases over $200. Now, in my big voice. Wait, I can go bigger. The biggest sale of the season is on now. Interacting with the public, work that's always changing, and making a difference? Are you looking for meaningful work with full-time hours, pension, and benefits? Put yourself in the driver's seat and start an exciting new career. Go to halifax.ca/transit to learn more about becoming a bus operator and to materials like asbestos and mold. Is trained to dispose of hazardous materials properly and efficiently. Is it really worth putting your family's health at risk to save a few bucks? Environmentally friendly and
niceweekend.com.
You're listening to special Storm Watch coverage. With the details you need to know, here's Sheldon McLeod.
Ford has saved $48,000 on back taxis. James and Lisa from Dallas saved $102,000. Call Coast One Tax Group now at 888.
If you've been wondering what's happening with the weather, many of you have asked. Well, it seems as though the worst is over. Look, the weather seems to have fizzled or stalled. As a matter of fact, I was just checking in with my wife down on the South Shore. And,
It didn't seem like much earlier, but the winds, when they were coming out of the southeast, it doesn't really hit here very hard. They've come around more like northwest right now, and I'm not sure I've ever seen a bigger swell on the lake here on Bonnock Lake, to be quite honest with you.
yikes, so the boat's safe?
Yeah, at this point anyway. Waves are breaking over the back of it. I got it pulled up on shore a bit, so I might have to pull it up a bit more, because the lake has been coming up, let's put it that way.
Well, we had a significant rainfall in the Halifax area in excess of about 58 to 60 millimeters of rain. It did come in just in short order over a couple of hours. What about the rain in Greenfield? What did you get?
Well, it started overnight, and it just kept going, and it's kind of petered out a little bit now. It's still raining, but nowhere near as hard as what it was. But the winds have certainly increased incredibly around here right at the moment. And, like my next door neighbor had
was there to beat you in a game of crib. John Wiles, thank you for this update, sir. Take care.
Talk to you later.
John from Ponhook in Greenfield as we get set to go into a break in just a few seconds. But I wanted to get Lily in on the conversation. Hi, Lily.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay. Are you 10?
Yeah, I am.
Are you in grade 5?
I am.
Oh, and what school do you go to?
Oh, Mom, what school do I go to? My mom needs me to go in the room to call. I go to school in Sackville.
Oh, okay. So, Lily, you had a question for us. What's your question?
I wanted to know if there's going to be school on Monday.
Great question.
Power down
I
here.
will tell you right now, Lily, that I absolutely believe you will have to go to school Monday. And the reason I tell you that, Lily, is that if school is canceled, you'll be really happy. I don't think it's going to be canceled, but if it is canceled, you're going to be really happy. You okay?
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks, Lily.
Thank you. Bye.
We're going to take a break. You're listening to the special storm coverage. Dorian is no longer a hurricane, has been downgraded to a tropical storm. It is still. We will see additional wind and rain. We're not done yet. You're listening to 92.9. We'll be right back.
Renovating? Before you rip out your attic, stop and call the professionals at Envirobate. Dangerous properly and efficiently. Is it really worth putting your family's health at risk to save a few bucks?
No.
Environmentally friendly and cost-effective, Envirobate is growing on great relationships. Check your credentials at envirobate.ca.
Are you afraid to answer your telephone due to collection calls and credit card debts? Allen Marshall and Associates can offer debt settlement plans, which, depending on your circumstances, may relieve 25, 50, even 75% or more of your debt. Licensed and regulated by the
Yesterday I
Government of
noticed when
Canada,
I gave him the
contact Allen
driveway,
Marshall and
where you
Associates.
turn, where you know.
Exports, and 2019 promises to be even better for Metro's community choice for best used car dealer. Carson Exports is planning exciting things to make buying a used vehicle better than it's ever been. The right staff, the right inventory, and the right exports, the right tools to offer. 550 Windmill Road and on Facebook, the best place to buy a used car, period.
Don't let this happen to the trees on your property. Call Arbor Plant.
Blender with an added dry container for grinding coffee beans, nuts, and more. With its variable speed controls, wireless connectivity, and built-in timer, this high-performance system makes short work. From her first steps to her first date, your hardwood staircase from vintage flooring has been a part of her life. Now, as she prepares for that next big step, it won't be long before your first grandchild will be climbing those very same stairs.
Hi, I'm Steve from Vintage Flooring in Bears Lake. For solid wood staircases that stand the test of time, visit us at vintageflooring.ca or on Facebook. Or just hardwood.
Next time on the Sheldon McLeod Show.
Well, of course we'll be checking in on the
Gary, everything's closed.
international relief and humanitarian assistance when we speak with a university professor. Finn is about to kick off, and we'll hear about the special guests for the Film Fest. We'll also talk about Halifax-themed restaurants in Alberta, and it's Money Matters with Ken Shea.
Join us for the Sheldon McLeod Show, weekdays from 12:30 to 3:30 on News 95.7.
Number one for news in Halifax. This is News 95.7.
It's Saturday, September 7th. Good evening. Mark Hodgins here with the 95-second news update. Also welcoming listeners of Jag 92.9. Again, a reminder, we are now broadcasting our hurricane coverage over on Jag as well for the next few hours. Here's what's making news this hour. Vacations and confirmed reports that Dorian Center has now passed over our area. There was a bit of a lull, as many noticed. The streets starting to fill up with cars again, people peeking their heads out, although there are follow-up reports that the winds are picking back up again now as the back half of the storm starts to pass us by. And we have heard from experts that say these winds could reach the intensity we've seen already, so it's safe to say that the storm is not over quite yet. Now, we're also getting some clarification from the Halifax Regional Municipality this hour. As we previously reported, there is a boil water advisory in effect for all those that get their water from places like lakes, that sort of thing. HRM is now clarifying that that does not include customers of Halifax Water. So again, boil water advisory not in effect for customers of Halifax Water. As well, the road to Peggy's Cove, Lawrencetown Road, and Highway 207 to Seaforth and Chesapeake do remain closed right now. Halifax Transit not operating until tomorrow at noon. And as well, most local rec programs, sports fields, and the like are going to be shuttered for the rest of the weekend as crews try to do their best to focus on cleaning up all of the damage and down trees and the like that we have seen so far today. Meantime, the Premier says it's important for Nova Scotians to continue to listen to warnings and stay inside as we continue to deal with this storm. Stephen McNeil telling News 95.7 he's been impressed with what he's seen from emergency services.
Our teams have been working at this now really for the better part of the last week for the preparations. Can't say enough good about the work the DMO is doing, DHS, all of our teams. Nova Scotia Power has teams all across our province now waiting for the winds to die down and start looking at how do we best put the power back up.
As for help from the federal government, McNeil says he's been told that once the storm subsides, he's been assured by the federal Minister of Public Safety that the military is mobilizing to help to get infrastructure back up and running.
With the details you need to know, here's Sheldon McLeod.
It's the special mix. We are live from downtown Halifax at the Young Tower overlooking Roby and Young Streets. Thanks for tuning us in. We're broadcasting from the News 95.7 studio. We're simulcasting on Jack 92.9. Always wanted to be on Jack 92.9. Now I get my chance. Thanks so much for sticking with us. And many of you have been asking, what the heck's going on? It seems like this system was overblown, was not as advertised. We are just moments away from the official sunset time, and I'm starting to hear from you on social media. A few of you have weighed in with what it's like in your particular neighborhood. And as a matter of fact, Trevor in Beaverbank says, from my vantage point in Beaverbank, the trees have started blowing. The gusts about 90 degrees opposite, so direction has switched. So it's brushing us now. It is now post-tropical depression cycle. I think that's what I heard. Craig says, starting to rock and roll on Hammond's Plains. Ironically, we still have power. Craig, good for you. You kept your lights on. Now, this very moment, 343,111 affected customers. Active outages, according to the Nova Scotia Power map, 2,991. Quick glance at another image from Future of Halifax. They just tweeted at us a parking lot full of Nova Scotia Power and other utility vehicles staged somewhere in the Halifax area, and by the looks of the light, this is probably just recently. Trevor 3828. That feeling when you hear Sheldon McLeod show talking about the silly people driving around. You're driving around looking for an open Tim Hortons. I don't think there is one, but maybe others know different. We're going to get to a couple of our callers here, and I believe we have Rick Howe. Is this Rick Howe?
Yes, it is. How are you doing?
We're making it through the night. How are things down in Hunts Point?
Well, things have cleared up a bit. There was actually blue sky and a rainbow not so long ago, but it's still very, very windy. The rain stopped a couple hours ago. It's been the huge waves. I tell you, this matches the kind of stuff, the waves you see in the surfing competition in Hawaii or something along those lines. It's just been humongous waves that have been crashing ashore. In fact, as you come into Hunts Point, right by Hunts Point Beach, there are boulders now right across the road. In fact, locals tell me that it's not unusual after a storm to see a snowplow going down the road in July, August.
removing rocks, the boulders. And as you go towards Somerville, there's also rocks on the road down there that, again, the road's passable. But other than that, it was a wild, blustery day, as you know, you're experiencing in Halifax as well. The power went out here around just after noontime, when the winds again were, I'm not sure how fast they were going, but gusts, I think the weather office was calling up to 150, and that seemed quite possible. Damage, there's very little damage that I've been able to tell outside of the boulders on the road. Little debris here and there, but otherwise trees and such seem to have withheld the fury of this storm.
Any property issues for you guys, Rick?
No, little accumulated along the roadside and such.
Yep.
As I drove down the road a bit, some areas that are low-lying are flooded out, but nothing extreme at all. It seems that, you know, we escaped the worst of it, you know, for the most part. I believe Halifax the eye is touched down just near in the city, and so you guys are getting the worst of it. But down here, it was wild and blustery, but not as bad as what Halifax was getting.
Yeah, we had a bit of a reprieve over the last little bit, and I'm starting to hear it's picking up in intensity. We just had a tweet from someone. This is not a hurricane in Timberley. Hate when forecasts are exaggerated. No power. This is like a regular September rainstorm. Rick, guess what you're going to hear on Monday for the call-in?
Yeah, seriously, indeed. Looking forward to hearing all the folks and all of the experiences they've had. But again, down tonight is supposed to be, again, very windy, but by tomorrow, hopefully things will clear up and we can...
Worried about that, you know, the phones might go down. Guess what happened today?
Did the phones go down?
Yes, they did.
Oh no! Wow, it's my worst nightmare. My worst nightmare.
Well, fortunately though, we got them back, so it wasn't. It could have been worse.
Well, I've been again. We've got no power down here, so I've got no access to radio or anything like that. So I've been going online with my phone here from time to time and checking you guys out. You're doing a great job, so keep it up. And I guess you're on to midnight tonight, so yeah, have fun.
That's a good way to put it. Thanks, Rick. Thanks for calling in.
All right, but take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Graham actually said, I did find the SO Tim's in Sackville has coffee. All right, good for you. We had a question earlier, and Rick, stay there. I'm going to get to you in just a second. But we had Tony ask if Nova Scotia ever did get the money from the federal government for Hurricane Juan. Gabrielle, you have some insight in this?
Actually, I'm sitting in my Jeep in my great village, and I'm having a hard time charging my phone, so I jumped in the vehicle and charged it up.
Yep.
And I've been listening to you for the last couple of hours, so thank you very much.
Oh, no worries.
You're my only communication I have. A little rough up here, a little strange. A couple trees down, but not too bad.
Great village.
Anyway, so I checked online.
Yeah.
Yeah, near number 2 off the 104.
Okay, yep, up towards
So I'm on, Station Road. In a very old property. But anyway, so I thought I'd check it out. And I guess the Star newspaper had something about Peter Kelly stating that Ottawa paid its final payment July 19th, 2012. So everything was paid out.
Okay, so almost 9 years. 9 years after the event, they paid it.
9 years? Oh, yeah. And they said there was still a $500,000 haggle about they wanted the money back, and the municipality